Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're looking into something pretty intense, really focused. It's the foundation of a global religious movement.
Yeah, specifically how its identity, its core mission was sort of hammered out and given to members in this one really fiery address.
We're diving deep into excerpts from Reverend Sun Myung Moon's 1974 sermon in New York. It was called The Path That We Tread.
And this source is key because, it's not just abstract ideas, it's really a manual for, well, revolution.
Right.
Moon uses it to lay out the staggering, immediate, often radical actions he expected from his followers, the Unification Church members. It demanded a complete psychological reset, basically.
So our mission today is to unpack this extreme calculus of sacrifice he presents, and understand the sheer scope of the mission saving the world, even saving God.
And crucially, why he felt the UC had to be positioned 180 degrees away from established religion, especially Christianity. It was non-negotiable for him.
Okay, let's get into it. So, Section 1, the foundation of difference, this 180-degree shift.
Yeah.
The first thing Moon really establishes is this total break. He's explicit that the Unification Church cannot and really should not work within the existing Christian setup. Why? Why so absolute? Why not just try to reform things?
Well, because from Moon's perspective, reform just wasn't on the table. The sources paint existing churches as stalemated at a dead end. People are described as being on the verge of life or death in the life of faith. So for Moon, God's plan, his providence, was being finalized right then through the UC.
So a completely new start was needed.
Exactly. A total separation. He even compares it to Jesus having to separate from the established Jewish tradition back in his day.
And he makes this distinction. It wasn't just like 90 degrees different, a slight turn, but 180 degrees different.
Yeah.
That really signals a complete reversal, doesn't it? A fundamentally opposite direction.
It absolutely does. It means turning back to the true origin because he argued Christianity started straight but had become, well, crooked and different. And this reversal connects directly to his claim to be the Lord of the Second Advent.
Right.
He argued that when this figure arrives, people shouldn't cling to the old ways, the old traditions. They have to follow him, know his heart, and importantly, act in place of him.
That leads us to maybe one of the biggest breaks, theologically speaking, something people might not grasp if they're not familiar with the UC.
Which is?
He insisted that when followers meet this Lord of the Second Advent, they must erase the thought of the cross.
Ah, yes.
Why? The cross is the central symbol of Christianity. Why was it incompatible for Moon?
Well, in the Unification Church framework, the cross actually represents failure.
Failure.
Yeah, the failure of people in Jesus' time to accept him. That failure led to his crucifixion, his premature death, and the whole 2,000 years of history that followed.
So the arrival of Lord of the Second Advent marks the end of that era.
Precisely. It signals the start of the successful, the finalized dispensation. So Moon demanded they erase the thought of the cross because they were entering an age of victory, not suffering and martyrdom.
You wiped the slate clean.
You have to. The past and the symbol of its failure had to go.
Okay, so once that 180-degree break is set, the mission just explodes in scale.
It really does.
Moon hits hard against traditional Christianity, saying it focuses too much on the individual or just one group like the Israelites with Jesus. He says they only think of their own salvation.
Right. And Moon insisted, no, true religion has to aim higher. It must be about saving the whole world.
This is where you really see the weight of the responsibility they took on.
Absolutely. And it's why he laid out what he called the sacred formula.
The sacred formula. Okay, what is that? Is it like a roadmap?
Kind of. It's the blueprint for achieving that universal goal. But it fundamentally flips personal priorities upside down.
How so?
It demands this radical, well, reversal of selfishness. The stated purpose is the salvation of the world at the sacrifice of ourselves.
Okay.
And it's this relentless, expanding chain of sacrifice. The individual gives way for the family.
Right.
The family must be sacrificed for the nation. And then even the nation gets sacrificed for the whole world.
Wow, that's quite a hierarchy. That's the only way, in his view.
The only path to what he called universal salvation.
And he connects this massive human effort directly to God's own state. There's a detail in the sources suggesting that all this is necessary because God can't actually rest. He can't enjoy Sabbath.
Until the whole world is saved. As long as this vast population remains unsaved, God can't rest.
That makes the mission feel incredibly urgent. Not just important for humanity, but for God himself.
Absolutely divinely urgent. And, when you're facing a mission that huge, you're going to face opposition. That's inevitable.
Sure.
So this urgency also shaped how they were supposed to view their enemies, their adversaries.
How'd that work?
Followers were explicitly told, don't hate the people who oppose you. You have to hate Satan, who is working behind people or in the people.
Ah, so the people themselves are sort of pawns or victims of this external spiritual force.
Exactly. So the goal wasn't direct conflict with the individuals.
It was more compassion for them.
Right. Try to win their hearts and finally unify them into our group. It's framed as an ideological or spiritual battle, not a personal vendetta. He compared it to Jesus feeling compassion for people while wanting to drive Satan out.
Okay, so if the ultimate goal is truly world salvation, liberating God even, then, like you said, no earthly tie can come first.
Nothing.
And this next section of the address, section 3, for me, this has some of the most, frankly, shocking material. Moon demands that even the deepest human bond, family love, has to take a back seat.
He's incredibly direct about it. If the mission requires it, members must separate from their spouse, their partner. They might have to go work in completely different corners of the earth.
So immediate personal happiness, family life, it's sacrificed for this bigger eternal goal.
It has to be. It's that cruel calculus again, isn't it? The cost of being absolutely certain you're on a divine mission.
And he gives this example, this anecdote from the early days in Korea that's just harrowing.
Yes, it's quite stark.
He describes parents who were called to go witnessing, basically frontline work. And to do that, they would apparently entice the children and take them to the place where there was an orphanage and just leave them there. And he even acknowledges, he says, parental love is the thing most resembling God's love. So how do you square that? Leaving your kids at an orphanage?
It goes back to that 180-degree reversal. It underscores it completely. The only way, in this view, to achieve world salvation was to show a love that went beyond even natural bonds.
A sort of supernatural love.
Or at least a supernaturally prioritized love. Members had to make that awful choice with, as the text says, a determined and almost cruel mind.
Cruel seems like the right word there.
Moon insisted the priority had to be the people of the world, even before your own children, your own spouse.
And he didn't shy away from saying he did this himself.
Yeah.
That he pushed his early members.
No, he admitted it. He said he would drive them out, telling them explicitly, instead of loving me, you must love the people of the world.
Wow.
The implication being, if he didn't push them, if he let them stay comfortable and prioritize him or their families, then he would become the greatest of all sinners. Because he'd be putting earthly comfort above God's ultimate will. And this absolute demand for sacrifice, this total reversal, it wasn't just theory. It was made immediately relevant to the audience there in New York in 1974.
How so?
Because Moon painted this terrifying picture of America at that time. He described the nation as being at the point of life or death.
Seriously, life or death for the whole country. What were the signs?
He listed 3 major problems. The sources mentioned churches being almost empty, massive disharmony in families.
Okay, familiar themes maybe.
And drug addiction, which, as you noted earlier, he called a graveyard of living people.
Just devastating imagery.
And his conclusion from all this was incredibly stark. He said, the government, the established churches, even the education system, they can never do it. They can't fix these problems.
So America was basically doomed.
That's the word he used, doomed. Destined to be left with just the carcass of individualism. This feeling of impending collapse, it must have given the UC's mission this immediate existential urgency for the American members listening.
Did he link it to outside threats too? Or just internal decay?
Both.
Yeah.
He definitely mentioned the potential rise of communist power as an external threat, but also internal divisions.
Like what?
He specifically cited potential conflict between people of, say, German or British descent within the U.S. political system if Christian faith kept declining. He saw that as a major vulnerability.
Okay, so society is crumbling internally, threatened externally.
And it all led back to one single point. The Unification Church was the only solution.
The only one.
In his view, yes. No other group could eliminate the defects of Christianity and save the nation. Full stop.
So to save America, they had to embody that 180-degree shift personally. Deny themselves.
Exactly. They were tasked with revolutionizing America's core problem, that individualism, and changing the family into something of a new dimension.
So the personal sacrifice we talked about in Section 3 directly connects to this national mission.
Perfectly. Moon was clear. Politics, economics, even nukes and rockets. None of that can defeat the great enemy, Satan. Only this spiritual unity, this willingness to sacrifice the self, could do it. Which brings us right to the immediate action plan, the Madison Square Garden Campaign, MSG.
Yeah.
This event wasn't just another rally, it was framed as the absolute first step to the worldwide goal.
So everything hinged on its success.
Everything. Success there determined if they could move to the next stage, like Yankee Stadium, and then eventually rally 500,000 people. The whole trajectory depended on MSG.
And the sources show how intense that pressure was, right down to the number.
Oh, yeah. Moon told the followers, aim for even one person more than the capacity. MSG held about 20,000 people.
So 20,000 what?
Exactly. And he literally said that one extra person would determine success or failure for the whole thing.
That's incredible pressure. It makes every single interaction, every recruitment effort feel like life or death for the entire mission.
And this focus on numerical success, on achieving the goal no matter what, it leads directly into probably the most challenging, ethically extreme part of the whole address.
Which is?
Moon talked about victory versus just, a peaceful event. He asked them basically what's better, a calm atmosphere or a chaotic success where people are literally fighting each other to get inside.
Okay, I can see where this might be going.
He then pushes it right to the edge. He asks the crowd to imagine the media reaction if, in that chaos, some 100 people were killed in that accident, trampled and killed.
Oh my God, what do they say?
The source records the crowd shouting back, "No." Meaning, no, the media wouldn't hold it against them even if hundreds died trying to get in.
Wow, that's hard to process.
Mm-hmm.
How did he justify that?
He gave the absolute justification from his perspective. In the fight, casualties are naturally coming, and God will praise me. As a victor, not scold me or punish me for that.
God will praise him for casualties.
Yes, because remember, the UC's definition of good and evil is different from ordinary ones. If the goal is saving God and the world, then success, at any cost, becomes good. Failure is evil.
That completely reframes morality itself.
Totally. So the followers needed this fierce fighter mentality, run, don't walk, prefer one meal and less sleep, to get things done faster.
He even uses this violent imagery, right?
Yeah.
If they're united, he'll be the fist.
Yeah, he says he'll use them as a fist against targets, even mentioning tearing down iconic buildings like the Empire State Building or the Pan Am Building. It's extreme rhetoric to convey the scale of change needed. Success in NYC had to be world-shaking.
And the payoff for all this intensity, for succeeding at MSG.
Immediate global recognition. Success there would make the UC a household word. Missionaries heading overseas afterwards would be instantly known because, as he put it, your master had the speech in Madison Square Garden with great success.
Okay, and then the final piece, the ultimate reward after all that.
After winning the world, only after that they could finally come back in for the salvation of our own family, which you lost, and your own nation.
So they get back everything they sacrificed, but only at the very end.
Only after the global mission is complete. That's the final reward.
So wrapping this up, what we've really seen in this deep dive is just a stunning picture of an identity built on absolute contrast.
Yeah, total opposition.
A 180-degree break from tradition, demanding the ultimate sacrifice, even parental love, all focused on saving what they saw as a doomed United States.
Believing they were literally fighting to liberate even God. It's immense.
What really stands out is this profound psychological contract Moon set up.
It really is a contract, isn't it? On one side, he demanded intense struggle, immediate loss, suffering, things that feel like persecution.
Right.
But on the other side, the reward he promised was arguably the greatest possible. Historical significance, yes, but more importantly, the spiritual reward of knowing you understood and acted on God's heart.
And he explicitly says that reward will be greater than the difficulties you're going through.
Makes the suffering worthwhile in that framework.
It really is the cost of absolute certainty, isn't it? That's what this address just lays bare.
Which kind of leaves us with a final thought, maybe for you, the listener, to mull over.
Yeah.
If a group genuinely believes, truly believes, that their effort, their sacrifice, is the only thing preventing total global ruin.
The only thing between humanity and disaster.
Exactly. If they have that conviction, the one that justifies dismissing casualties, sacrificing family, how does that profound sense of ultimate responsibility change their whole ethical framework? What even happens to morality when success is defined as literally saving the world?
Something to think about. A heavy thought to end on as we look back on the path we've tread today. We'll see you on the next deep dive.